So we are all doing this so that it can inform policies, so that if you know that there's a lot of depletion, then policies can come on board to reduce the level of depletion for our future generation.
She details the impact of some activities in the land accounting ecosystem.
For the land accounting that we have compiled, though it's not finalized, but we've realized that there are some net changes. If you look at the net changes, some are negative with respect to the ecosystem.
On her part, AC Boda Kwesing, director at the Fisheries Commission, details the benefits to the fisheries and aquaculture sector.
Once we know how much we have, then we know our contribution towards the economy, and then how much will also go and benefit the operators. Are they also doing well? Because once we know we are doing well, then we know they will also do well. But like he said, if they are decreasing, you go and you don't get it, and that goes against you. You don't have return on investment. So it's important that we know what we have and the value, and then we know that our operators are safe and the economy is also safe.
The Natural Capital Accounting for Sustainability project is spearheaded by the Ghana Statistical Service with support from the Ministry of Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation and the United Nations Environment Programme, World Conservation Monitoring Center.
There will be tax amnesty for all businesses come 2025. This is an assurance from Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia to businesses if he wins the December 2024 elections. According to him, the country's current tax structure is not fit for purpose and wants the system to change and become more competitive like Estonia. He made this known at an engagement with the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry.
So we are going to start with a clean slate in 2025. That is why in 2025, we are going to grant a tax amnesty to all businesses and individuals and start afresh. We are going to start a new system. It's a flat tax system. So we are going to wipe the slate clean for every individual and every business. And Ghana is going to start a new tax system, a flat tax system, as we have in Estonia. And in addition, we are going to do faceless audits. Officials should not come to businesses to do audits. The digital framework, you should have the information and audit facelessly and send whatever your audit findings are. But to prevent harassment, audits of any company cannot be more than once in 5 years unless there's a reason. Unless there's a reason.
Also at the event, the president of the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Clement Osei-Amoako, appealed to the vice president to help resolve other challenges hampering the growth of businesses.
Really, it's a welcoming news for the private sector. What we have experienced over the years are even the small businesses going into GRA for taxes. Sometimes they have not even worked for so many years. And like most of them said, they just look into your face and impose some tax on you. And I saw that it was not good for the private sector in that it impedes, it doesn't allow people to freely come and pay their taxes. And so people will rather evade tax and rather than coming in and pay taxes that have been imposed on them. With a tax amnesty, who doesn't want a tax amnesty? Especially when we have come out from COVID, we have come out from a Ukraine war that has actually, and even the DDEP, that has taken most of our capital. And so we have a tax amnesty to take us back, to prepare ourselves to pay tax. Who doesn't want that? And I think that is a good news. And that is what the private sector is looking for. The GRA issue that is going to be addressed is very good. Now, if we have a digitized economy where you can sit in your office, apply your tax, make your input and get your tax paid, then that is the best. More so with the import duty on vehicles and other goods that we are importing. He also made us aware that should we import that goods, we should be able to forecast how much we are going to pay over a period of time than to bring in a good that you would have paid X amount only to find out that you are paying Y. And sometimes you have to go through demurrage and you lose even all the things that you have imported. For us as Ghanaians and for that GNCCI, we are ready to work to lift the economy up. And so whoever is ready to work with the private sector as an engine of growth and create the environment, I think that we are ready to work with him. And I believe that what we heard today is something that we will say a good news. And we only have to wait and make sure that its implementation is effective.
Away from taxes, leading brand under Unilever Ghana, Pepsodent, has reaffirmed its commitment to increase proper oral health care among citizens from a younger age. To this end, Pepsodent has joined some basic students in Accra to mark this year's Oral Health Day, which seeks to create awareness of oral health and prevention of diseases. Here's more. Pepsodent is aiming at innovative activities to reduce the concerns of oral health, which has been one of the major challenges for the younger generations. In Ghana, studies show that about 13% of middle school children suffer from dental cavities. Category manager for oral care at Unilever, Vera Boedu, has been speaking about some initiatives like the tele-dentistry.
We started this in October 2023, and what we realized is that a lot of Ghanaians had a lot of questions around cavities, mouth odor, simple questions like you saw being asked over here. You can quickly call a dentist and verify whether to use a soft toothbrush, a soft bristle toothbrush or a hard bristle toothbruch. And so far, engagement averagely, we've had across the two platforms about 3,000 Ghanaians accessing this platform on a monthly basis, and we continue to do it. Our next step for us is just to see how we can bring in more languages. Currently, our dentists can speak just English and Twi, and the next phase for it is to expand into more languages. We are looking to at least a minimum of 4 languages in Ghana. So we are getting the dentists with the support of the GDA to help us in that case.
She has therefore been speaking about the importance of the celebration and why Unilever is supporting the initiative.
So for World Oral Health Day, it's a day which we have set aside, not just for us in Pepsodent or Unilever. It's a day which was started off by the World Dental Federation, FDI, since 2007. On that particular day, this is today, 20th of March, we set aside to talk about, advocates about oral hygiene, the issues around it, the preventive mechanics we can do, advice, just to make people aware of the importance of oral hygiene as part of total health for an individual, and that's why we have set aside this day. So on this day, you notice the people who came to speak. It's not just Unilever, Pepsodent. You have people beyond Unilever. You have people from the Ghana Dental Association also taking part. You have people from government institutions. The GES is a key partner for us because we are talking to kids. They also come, and then we invite parents, students. Everybody needs to be part of this celebration so that they will be aware of the issues, matters arising around oral hygiene, issues, ways to prevent it, and the solutions which are being put forward in there.
Unilever believes that despite the natural occurrence of tooth loss during childhood, the prevalence of oral pain related to cavities and tooth decay is alarming and avoidable. Some business operators in rural communities, including mobile money vendors, are recording low sales following the recent internet blackout that hit the country. Residents and businesses at Apenamade, a village in the Etrima Imponua district of the Ashanti region, which already battles poor internet connectivity, are highly impacted by the limited internet supply. Emmanuel Bright Kweku was in the community and has filed this report.
A gathering of family and friends, not only to converse amongst themselves, but to primarily connect with the rest of the world. But one of their means to stay abreast of global and national happenings, mobile internet, is being intermittently truncated. Although they have been enduring the perennial challenges with internet and mobile connectivity, the prevailing internet blackout is biting harder. I have been here for only 2 months. The internet is really bad. Located over 50 kilometers away on the outskirts of the regional capital, Kumasi, Apenamade is a small farming community in the Achimampunia district with a population less than 1,000. This open space underneath the trees on the community's hill is the only luckiest place for internet connectivity. The internet is not really good unless you come to the school premises. For some phones, it works better, but even with that, it's not everything that is accessible. The uncomfortable living spans into businesses in the village, especially mobile transactions. Portia Brago, a mobile money vendor in the community, has had to endure the ordeal of turning away customers due to the recent poor network. She is incurring losses. I always receive transaction failed notification. It is really affecting my business. I have to turn away customers all the time. Sometimes I have to roam the community before I'm able to do transactions for people. Stephen, also a vendor, is reeling under the impact. It accidentally deducts amounts from my account, making me incur losses. Some residents manage to utilize virtual private networks, but the connectivity situation in the area is not allowing a smooth experience on the app.
Not too long ago, a friend of mine being introduced VPN, which sometimes because of the network in a hand.
Because the network is bad, even the VPN is not really working effectively.
Because sometimes the firm for saying come with me, I busy posting because earlier on in the network, yes, be challenges.
So while telecommunication operators in the country work around to restore full internet connectivity, residents and businesses in remote areas like Apinimadi are eagerly anticipating that they have a better experience to serve the few clients that come around for transactions. From here at Apinimadi in the Jamadu district of the Ashanti region, my name is Emmanuel.
And here in our studios at Kokomlemle in Accra, my name is Emma Davis. That's how we end tonight on Prime Business. For more news, do log on to myjoyonline.com. I leave you with international business.
The business segment was brought to you by
EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank. For your QR code.
It's time you switch to Bell Pack today.
For decades, we have helped businesses connect with their trade partners all over the globe. From Ghana to Burkina Faso, Côte d'Ivoire, Benin, Togo, Senegal, China, Morocco, France, Netherlands, and many other countries. We have made it possible to bring Ghana to the world. We have brought small and medium businesses closer to their customers across the regions in Ghana with our SME support facilities. We have brought relief and smiles to the faces of families with our employee personal loans. With our cutting-edge technology and digital support, we take the burden of complex thinking off you, making life simple. That is who we are, as close as a partner. Bank of Africa. We are indeed the African bank with the global reach.
Hey bro, what are you watching? Only the best thing ever. Cause these Easter holidays, the joy never stops. Picture this. The home is filled with LOL moments and intense drama from the local shows. The docus are just mind-blowing. It's mystery after mystery. And man oh man, is the sports of the chains? I'm talking Serie A, Premier League, UEFA Europa League, FA Cup, and even WWE Sing.
You do this all day.
Even the kids are hooked up with adventures and fun-loving bro. And the reality, you don't want to miss. So stay connected to entertainment anywhere with GoTV Stream or enjoy it at home. This is the holidays. GoTV, love it.
Hey, what's up?
How far with your internship?
To be honest, I'm so nervous about starting this new role on Monday.
Oh, please. I know you'll be great at it. You should be worried about what benefits they have. Example, do they have health insurance?
I doubt they will have that for internet. But no shaking. I have NHIS already.
After you on a line, ting.
Ina, look at you. What are you going to do in the office when you can just download your app to register for an NHIS membership?
Yes, my people. You heard right. You can now download and register your membership on my NHIS app. No long queues or tedious paperwork. All you need is your Ghana card to register for yourself and for others. Once you register, you get a new digital NHIS card on your phone. My NHIS app gives you access to credentialed health facilities and services across the country. NHIS covers over 95% of disease conditions in Ghana. Access to healthcare just got easier.
Now let me sign up quickly. Miss Seth, I'm starting work next month.
Segment is brought to you by
Commended DBS Industries to you.
Let's go to DBS Industry.
Welcome to Prime Sports with me, Razak Musbao. Now, let's take you to the University of Ghana Stadium where the athletics event is wrapping up because Ghana's 4x100 relay team missed out on the gold medal to Nigeria's team, who ran a time of 38.41 seconds in the final of the men's event at the University of Ghana Stadium in the African Games. Now, the quartet of Sunday, Israel, Okon, Consider, Ekanem, Alaba, Akintola, and Oshoroichi Ichekiri stormed to victory to win gold. And this is how the action unfolded just a while ago.
No turning back now. The final of the men's 4x100 meter relay. The Nigerians are going very strongly. Edwin Gadai is already being caught by on their back straight for Ghana is Benjamin Azimati, but Nigerians Okon is also running really well. Look at Botswana, two very well run. Solomon Hammond is being handed over by Benjamin Azimati. Hammond is going up against Alaba Olukule of Nigeria. This is it now. The anchor light is Shorishi. Oh, the Ghanaians have. Oh, it looked like they were dropping the baton, but they did it. It's Shorishi against Joseph Bolamo. It's a race for 1 and 2. Ghana, Nigeria. Nigeria have got it just on the line. They have exacted revenge on the Ghanaians, and the gold medal will go to Nigeria.
Now, that's how the action unfolded in the 4x100 meter relay with Nigeria picking gold. Well, in the women's category of the very same event, Nigeria came top again, clinching the gold medal, with Ghana managing the third position to clinch the bronze medal. And this is how the action also unfolded in that category.
And they're away. The final of the 4x100 meter relay, the Ghanaians are off to a really great start, but so are the Liberians as well. And for Liberia, it's Ebony Lee running really well. The changeover is smooth. The Ghanaians are coming through from Mensah. Mensah is running great, but so is Nigeria's Olajide as well. But look at Liberia. Strong changeover. Oh, the changeover is not smooth for Liberia, but the Nigerians are off on the inside lane. Right now, for Nigeria, is Forhan. Forhan has the lead. She's running incredibly. Hands over to Toby Amuzan. There's no catching her. Wholehality of Ghana is chasing shadows. Look at Liberia's anchor leg. It's Carrie Josephine and Wholehality for second, but Nigeria takes the gold. Liberia with the silver. Ghana settles for bronze. And Toby Amuzan, the Express, has brought Nigeria home. That is how you run an anchor leg. Barely 1 hour after an individual.
Nigeria winning gold medal in the 4x100 meter relay women's event and the men's event over there. Well, my colleague Muftau Nabila is the man who monitored all of it at the University of Ghana Stadium, where he still is. Let's connect with him on phone now. Muftau, it was a thrilling night of great athletics event. Just help us appreciate exactly how the Ghanaians fared and why, especially, what the conversation has been on why the team failed to clinch the gold medal. We'll try and connect with Muftau Nabila on that very story relating to the 4x100 relay team, where Ghana managed to clinch the silver medal, with Nigeria winning the gold. The women's team also managed the bronze medal over there. But let's reconnect with Muftau. Muftau, I mean, you watched it. Can you paint a more clearer picture to us? How did we miss out on the gold medal in the men's category?
Quite a difficult question for me to answer, considering the fact that I was not on the track, but I will speak from a man who was at a media tribune and saw everything from the first curve, which was taken by Edwin Gadai, to the back straight by Benjamin Azamati. That was quite a fluid race. Azamati to Solomon Hammond was another special. However, in the finishing, where we got to the anchorman in just Paul, it appears there was a bit of hesitation between Joe and Hammond, where Joe took off a bit early and Hammond was a bit away from him, so he needed to wait to pick the baton from Hammond before taking off. And when he took off, in fact, it was at that change of baton that allowed Nigeria to close the gap. And when they closed the gap, their exchange of the baton was more fluid than that of Ghana. So they took off. And many people would realize that when the anchorman, Joe Paul, took off, he was able to close the gap on Nigeria. And trust me, if there was another 5 meters left, probably Ghana could have been lifting gold. And in fact, the most disappointing aspect of this is the fact that these boys actually believe that they have got the potential to be able to break the national record they set about 2 years ago, which is currently 38.07 seconds. These boys are so confident in their abilities that they think they can even do a sub-37. And when you do a sub-37, that actually means that it is a podium finish. But unfortunately, that wasn't meant to be tonight, as they settled for silver in this race. It's quite disappointing. I've spoken to 3 of the men who were in the race. They all tell me how disappointing it is. They all tell me how, even when they were on the track, the Nigerians were having a conversation with them about their war when it comes to Jollof, and not even the race. And in the end, they made them to understand that they were going to beat them. And in the end, they're so disappointed that the Nigerians said they were going to beat them. And indeed, they won.
I mean, Muftau, of course, we know the women also managed to win the bronze medal, but there was another Ghanaian in the 800-meter race, Alex Amwankwa. How did he fare in his, event?
Alex Amankwa, he had a very good heat and semi-final, but the final was quite difficult. Took off late in the final, especially in the last 400 meters of that race. By the time he decided to cover up, races like this are quite technical, and when they push you into the corner, it's difficult for you to meander your way through. So it was quite unfortunate on their part that he found himself in a very difficult corner that he was not able to pass his colleague, and he had to settle for a fifth place in this race. Quite disappointing. I spoke to him. He told me how he's very disappointed with the outcome. But I'm standing here with Coach Adam. I don't know if you would like to hear just some words from him. Coach Adam, I'm currently live on television. Just a moment. Tell me about the races that you saw today.
Well, it's one of those things. They have a very good race. I think the only thing that happened was the anchor leg miscalculated the acceleration. So that's how come Nigeria got close to us and ran on down to the line.
Quite disappointing?
Oh, not really. It's a game. The good thing is that we are going to meet them again in the World Relays. That is in Bahamas. Just I think about a month, about 6 weeks away. So this is a wake-up call to the team that we have to be together, have a lot of handouts, so that when we get to Bahamas, we want to have an auto qualify to the final, to the final, so that we are safe going into the Olympics game. So that's the goal right now.
Overall, just sum up the sprints for me, especially the 100 meters. We're yet to witness the 200 meters from Solomon Hammond and Joe Paul tomorrow. But just sum up what you've witnessed in the sprint so far.
Well, Benjamin and Barnabas did well going into the final in a space of 2 days, running the heat semi-final the same day, and then running the final. I think it's pretty good. They were not able to place in a medal position. This is March. No athlete is expected to be running fast in March. We have a lot of competition going into this year, the World Relays, the African Championship, and then the Almighty Olympics coming up. For me, they did well. Tomorrow, we're going to have Joseph Paul, Ibrahim Husseini, and Solomon Hammond in the 200 meters. You look at Solomon Hammond, he looks so good. The way he ran the curve today, I believe the three of them should be in the final, because in the indoor, Solomon Hammond ran, Ibrahim Husseini ran 20.97. Of course, the guy who won the bronze medal for us at the Commonwealth didn't run any 200 meters this year, but he has a lot of experience to run into the final. And if we have three of them in the final, I know definitely one of them should, or two of them should be falling in the medal zone.
Musbao, that is Coach Elom there. He's hopeful that we've got a group of athletes that can make the podium, especially in the 200 meters tomorrow. But I just want to take the final thoughts of Coach Elom before we go. The Olympic Games is one area everyone is looking forward to. But like you mentioned, March is not a point that everyone would expect athletes to be running so fast, because it's early into the season. But what is the sensitivity that Ghanaians would have our athletes in the Olympic Games?
Well, we have one chance in the relay. In the past few years, we are always in all major competitions. So this is a wake-up call to the government. This is a wake-up call to the federation and all stakeholders involved in athletics or in sports in general to invest more into athletics. Good for us. We have a chance to run in Bahamas. We just have to be in the final to be safe going into the Olympics. That's one thing. The team is going to be in June. By then, maybe the collegiate season is over. All the athletes will be in good shape to be there. And then in June, we have July and August. That is the most important time that the team has to be together. If you ask for my candid opinion, the team should be flown to Europe, where they'll have a lot of competition, running with the top guys as the pre-mates going into the Olympics game. They need to compete. They need to be with the top guys. That is why we will know where they are before going into the Olympics game. When you look at the Olympics, it's very open. It's very, very open. You can't point a team before. You can just say that Jamaica is going to win it. You can just say that America is going to win it. But right now, it's very, very open. So our teams are there. And the good thing is that in May, we should be seeing a lot of top 10s. We should be seeing a lot of top 10 in the kind of team we have right now. So, but again, really, it's not about just running fast. It's about changing our baton. That's one thing that caused us today. So, if we are...
Yes. To Ghana's coach, trainer there, Elom, on Ghana winning the silver medal on the men's 4x100 relay, and the women's team also clinching the bronze medal there. There's going to be more action, 200 meters race with Solomon and, of course, Joe Paul participating in that tomorrow. We're going to be in the heat and the semi-finals, and there's going to be the final that will unfold before the end of all of the action on Friday. Now, Ghana's Alexa Mankwa is the one who finished 5th in the men's 800 meters event. Well, we caught up with him after the race. He says he's disappointed, but remains hopeful of an exciting future ahead for him.
That was quite a very strong run in the final there. How do you feel?
I'm disappointed, honestly. I feel like I could have finished top 3, but I didn't have it the last stretch. So yeah, it's disappointing, but you know, I'm happy that I made the final. This is an inch closer to the Olympics, which is the ultimate goal, and the support that I'm getting from Ghana is like incredible.
What does that mean, the support from Ghanaians?
Everything. Like, you know, I'm disappointed in myself because I felt like I could have done more, but everybody's coming up to me and congratulating me and showing me so much love and so much support. Like, it's I can't even describe the words. It's amazing.
A few of us have had the privilege of watching you out, following you out there. I was in Oregon with you for the World Champs. But yeah, you're running in front of your very own people. How is it feeling like?
Yeah, I mean, I can't, it's a lot of pressure, but it's good pressure, you know, like they motivate me, they push me to come home strong, and you know, they bring the best out of me. And, you know, I'm in front of the home crowd, so I want to show my best, just because this is where I'm from, you know, so I love them and they show me so much love.
What next?
I might do the 4x4 tomorrow or Friday, and then after that, I'm gonna go back home and rest for a little bit. It's been a long trip.
You need that rest.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. I wish you well.
That's was his name, Alexa Mankwa over there. But what the men's under-20 side have qualified to the finals of the football competition. They'll be facing Uganda in the final on Friday. Well, the head coach is Desmond Ofoy, and he managed to lead the team. He says he's satisfied with the team's performance and very poised to deliver the gold medal against Uganda on Friday.
As expected, it was a very tough game, against a very, very good team. A team that has been working really hard to compete on the highest level. So we had a lot of respect for them. We had to fight for it. It took us a while, but from the beginning to the end, we dominated the game. We were never in trouble. They chose the long ball, which we were a bit surprised because we thought that they were going to play because a good footballing playing team, but that wasn't the case. We dealt with it well. The first half, we didn't create enough chances, in my opinion, not enough clear-cut chances, but we dig deep and eventually we got rewarded. My boys are not wasteful. We had one clear chance and we finished it. I can't recall any part of the game where we squandered any chances. So I don't understand your question basically. You know, we're in the middle of the Ramadan and I want to protect the boys as much as I can. He's a very good player, same with Issa, Misbao, Suleimana. So we felt that his energy was dropping, and I think the timing of the substitution was perfect because yeah, he did very well up to then. And the one that subbed him did a fantastic job by scoring, so I think it was a perfect timing. If you watch our previous games, you know that this is our system. On the ball, we play in a back three. Why? Because we want to dominate the midfield by playing 4 midfielders, and that's what we did today, and that's what we've been doing during the whole tournament. But, you know, playing with the wing backs 90 minutes, you know, is tiring, especially, like I said, some of the boys are doing Ramadan. So we decided to go for the back four at the right time. and solidify the midfield more with 2 holding midfielders. That gave us opportunity to play with double wingers, and I think it helped. And that's how KK gave the assist to our striker, Epson. It's funny, but I think the final is for them. I mean, for us coaches, we say, especially in my opinion, the training is for us and the match is for the players. We guide them in the games by motivating them, giving them the right inspiration to perform. But I think the job is done beforehand, in my opinion, because I said before, we started camping really on time. We touched on every facet of the game, tactical part and all that stuff. So the boys are well prepared. They are well prepared for this tournament. And yeah, like I said, they keep growing and their mentality is incredible. They are very hungry, very humble, despite the fact that we think that we have a lot of quality in the team, but still they're working really, really hard. So towards the final, it's a final. We're going to enjoy it. 100%. For us in the final, we're going to fight. We're going to fight. Uganda is a very good team. We have to respect them. Top coach. I saw them play the last 20 minutes. Movement of the ball, without the ball, with the ball. Incredible. But we will prepare again. I said we know them. They've got incredible individual players. We know their weaknesses as well. And we're going to work really hard. And we're going to use our qualities and fight till the very end. And in the end, we see what happens.
Well, that's Desmond Ofoe there, the head coach of the Black Satellite, ahead of the final game against Uganda on Friday. But even before that, the Black Princess will be in action tomorrow. Tomorrow at the Cape Coast Stadium, they will play Nigeria for the gold medal in the women's edition of the football competition in the African Games. So we're going to make time and watch them there. But let me just wrap up with this, because Nketia Foundation held their maiden football competition, and it was Jomo Smart who came top to clinch the ultimate trophy on the day. My colleague Lawrence Bedu was at the event, and he came through with this report.
In the final of the competition, both had to ease past formidable opponents, including Highest Academy, Aboma, Mercury Academy, and Vasajan at the group stages. But the final had one winner, Joma Smart, who scored a second half goal to emerge champions. Their head coach, Dominic Esiama, spoke to Joy Sports.
Well, first of all, we thank the organizers. We give glory to the Almighty God for giving us this platform. And I hope he said, we are looking forward to see more of this. Once we have come out with victory, we expect at the end, we will see more of this foundation of bringing the youth chap, giving them exposure, giving them that big platform, so that they can showcase their talent. So we are grateful to him and his family.
Yeah, congratulations to Joma Smart there. But of course, we'll bring you the full story later in our bulletins over there. That's all got for you on Prime Sport with me, Razak Musbao. We've got more for you on JoyNews. Please do stay tuned.
Sports segments was brought to you by
Mende DBS Industries to you.
Let's go to DBS Industries.
In Ghana, when there's a fire, people are more likely to call a radio station than a fire station. They believe the media will succeed where our institutions have failed. That is a huge responsibility for any journalist to shoulder. Thankfully, at JoyNews, we are more than journalists. We are agents of development. We are champions of change. We don't just report the problem, we help to find solutions. We are JoyNews, home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. My name is Araba Kumsin.
When something happens, you want to know all about it immediately. Here at JoyNews, we don't just bring you the breaking stories. We go beyond them to bring you the intricate issues in those developing stories. We are relentless in our probe, detailed in our search, and our commitment to be your most credible news source is one that you can trust, because news is all about you. JoyNews, credible, independent, and fearless.
Stories, that's what we tell each other every day. At JoyNews, we tell your story. You have a story the world should know about? Tell it to JoyNews. We are your home of bold, credible, and fearless journalism. I am Emefa Apau.
We have seen a lot together, and through it all, the faces here at JoyNews have looked you straight in the eyes and asked the questions you've always wanted to ask. We've been fearless but compassionate. We've been relentless with our probe. We have given you the microphones.
The boy they killed is my best friend.
We here at JoyNews are always honored to share each day with you. My name is Ernest Minu, and this is JoyNews. Credible, fearless, and independent.
And tonight on PM Express, fallout of the president's refusal to admit the anti-LGBTQ+ bill as Speaker of Parliament expresses frustration, describing the presidency's stance as setting dangerous precedents that will mar the integrity and functionality of democratic institutions. It's been 21 days since the bill was passed, and you may be aware that the presidency has issued a stern warning to Parliament not to make any attempt in submitting the bill for assent, citing two pending cases at the Supreme Court. Well, a co-sponsor of the bill has called on the Supreme Court to put an injunction on the approval of the president's ministerial nominee. So this is actually where we are. And it's been 21 days, just like I said, since that bill was passed, waiting the assent of the president. And if you look at what has happened, there are 2 pending applications at the Supreme Court for an interlocutory injunction to actually stop the president from assenting the bill. And this is where the Attorney General is coming from, advising the president and saying that assenting to the bill before the Supreme Court's examination could undermine the authority of the court, and also assenting the bill after the court's decision on the applications for interlocutory injunction rather is more appropriate. That's the advice from the Attorney General to the president. But of course, this Article 106 of the 1992 Constitution has come to play. And today, you heard the Speaker of Parliament reiterated earlier, former minority leader Haruna Idrisu had also raised this concern. And so it talks about notifying Parliament of decision not to assent within 7 days of receiving. That's Article 106. Clause 7 of Article 106. Now, if you go to Clause 8A of Article 106, it talks about recommending any amendment within 14 days of refusal. So if the president has any reason to refuse the assenting of the bill, he has 14 days to actually write to Parliament and give reasons and recommendations. And then it talks about Article 1069, which requires Parliament to reconsider the bill after the President has actually referred it back to them and minuted his reasons why he cannot assent. Now, Article 106.10 provides that the president has to assent the bill within 30 days after 2/3 MPs support the bill. So if the president has issues with the bill, he has to write to Parliament, reasons why he cannot assent. Then Parliament has to look at the recommendations. After they work on that recommendation and send it back to the president, he has 30 days to actually append his signature. So if you put the 7 days, the first 7 days that he has to assent the bill and the 14 days that he has to write to Parliament, that makes it 21 days. That's how many days the president has to actually say something about the bill. But has the bill reached him already? No, because the presidency is already warning the clerk to Parliament not to attempt to do so. So in Parliament, there's been conversations about why a pending injunction or interlocutory injunction should make the president not to assent a bill. And they give a clear example of the e-levy. The e-levy was passed in Parliament on March 29, 2022. The minority filed the case in the Supreme Court on March 30, 2022. On March 31, 2022, President Akufo-Addo assented that e-levy bill into law. And so the minority is challenging the presidency on this, saying that an interlocutory injunction cannot prevent the president from doing his constitutional duties. Now, you heard from former President Mahama, who's been speaking about this. He says that no religion in Ghana accepts LGBTQ activities. The President Secretary has no authority to write such a letter, which was corroborated by the former minority leader, Haruna Idrisu. Parliament is obligated to send every bill to the President. And this, he says, is a threat to Parliament as an independent institution. Now, just like we've heard, Roxanne Nelson Dafiamakwan, just like it was announced in Parliament a while ago by the Speaker of Parliament, he says that no court can injunct a president from performing his functions under the Constitution. So he has equally gone to court, and he says that the president's refusal to accept the transmission of the bill is not supported by the Constitution. That's what the Speaker is saying tonight, and statutory provisions that guide the legislative process. Allowing injunction applications to disrupt the legislative process has significant implications. The Attorney General did not advise the President against receiving the bill from Parliament. Indeed, if you look at the letter that was signed by the Executive Secretary of the President, Nana Santi-Bediatu, it stated what the Attorney General said. And indeed, there was nowhere in the letter where the Attorney General advised the president not to receive the letter. The letter says not to receive the bill, actually. The letter talks about the president not being advisable for the president to actually ascend the bill whilst there are 2 applications in court. So Roxanne Dafiamakpo is seeking an injunction to stop the Speaker from vetting the President's nominations, and the House will wait for the Supreme Court's decision on the injunction before proceeding with the nominations. In fact, this has gotten the majority talking. They are actually unhappy with this decision by the Speaker. So, Afenyo Marking a while ago said that the Speaker delivered his speech without consulting the majority beforehand. The majority disagrees with the Speaker's position, and the injunction against the nomination of the President nominees was done in bad faith. Tonight, we're asking the question, what really is the constitutional provision on this whole confusion? The presidency and Parliament are in this dilemma. We will be attempting to resolve that question tonight. I'll be joined by Roxanne Nelson Dafiamakpo himself, who has gone to court to seek for that injunction. He's a co-sponsor of the bill and a member of the Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee of Parliament. Habib Idris is the Deputy Majority Whip of Parliament. He will also be joining us in the studio. Also joining us for this conversation is Professor Ernest Kofi Abochi, who is Dean of the UPSA Law School. And later, we'll get to hear from the religious bodies. Very Reverend Father Clement Kwesi Ejei will be joining us, and also be joined by Sheikh Arimeyao Shaibu, who's a spokesperson of the National Chief Imam. PM Express is sponsored by Syntex Tank. It is strong, it is tough. Alomo Bitters, experience greatness in every moment. The Ghana AIDS Commission, Pepsodent, every smile matters. Let's have a conversation after this break.
I love President Charcoal. Why? When there are so many other charcoal toothpaste. That's both charcoal and lemon. Oh, does it? Yes. Look right here.
Yes. Pepsodent Charcoal has 2 of nature's powerful whitening ingredients. With the power of activated charcoal and lemon essence, it removes stains and whitens teeth naturally.
Convinced?
Well, I am. Just look at your beautiful Pepsodent smiles.
For naturally whiter teeth, Pepsodent Charcoal.
Pepsodent.
Daddy, this tank is big.
Yes, that's true.
It can store a lot of water.
That's so true.
Wow, it has a working tortoise on it.
That's so true.
I can see F-I-N-T-E-X. Syntex.
That is so true, my daughter.
When it falls down, it will spoil.
That's not true.
But why?
Hey! Syntex was the first to introduce double-layer tanks in Ghana. Syntex again was the first to introduce white inner layers in Ghana. Syntex gives you the biggest warranty, 7 years. No matter your water needs, Syntex is the answer. Syntex tank. Are you strong? Are you tough?
Across Africa, a new era has begun. Shifting our focus to a new horizon, connecting us with one purpose: to create and share opportunities to grow. Today, we are making a brighter tomorrow, built by our dreams and our energy. Across our continent, across the world, we are creating a better way to a better future. A Pan-African future, together. EcoBank, a better way, a better Africa.
This coming Easter Monday is Love FM Family Party in the Park. 1st April 2024, Rotary Park, Baya Dede. So start putting plans together and let's have the biggest family picnic experience ever. Where are my bubbly little kitty bobs, nyakapums, papas, obitikum? We will make available all the kids playing items: trampoline, bouncy castles, electric train, merry-go-round, stationary airplane, horse race, face painting, TV games. For all the adults in Kumasi, get ready for the adult corner. Get your dancing shoes on with some electrifying live band music. Date is Easter Monday, 1st April 2024 at the Rotary Park, Denyame. Rate is a cool 10 Ghana cedis, 8 a.m. sharp. The Love FM Family Party in the Park, Easter edition. We simply can't wait.
That's why I am grateful to be rectified at this moment and accepted as part of your traditional culture and have a father who is a king in Yendi. I have embarked on a journey to be a leader. I can't be on this journey alone. I become what I become because of you. And anyone that thinks for people is successful. Start to think for your people and everyone will grow. I have embarked on this journey to be able to move with the youth of this country. Your voice really matters. And I think we should skip the noise and obey the voice. Your problem is my problem. I've already seen it and I'm coming with a solution. I am coming to put a 1 million CDs on the university challenge for the 10 universities and UTS is one of them. We have to invest their money into that business that they presented. We will guide them until they walk on the path of success. It's money, keeping it and making sure it's spreaded right. Remember, I'm investing in you. Thank you.
Serious. The second coming of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah.
I love President Charcoal. Why? When there are so many other charcoal toothpaste. That's both charcoal and lemon. Oh, does it? Yes. Look right here.
Yes. Pepsodent Charcoal has two of nature's powerful whitening ingredients. With the power of activated charcoal and lemon essence, it removes stains and whitens teeth naturally.
Convinced?
Well, I am. Just look at your beautiful Pepsodent smiles.
For naturally whiter teeth, Pepsodent Charcoal.
Daddy, this tank is big.
Yes, that's true.
It can store a lot of water.
That's so true.
Wow, it has a working tortoise on it.
That's so true.
I can see SINTEX. Syntax.
That is so true, my daughter.
When it falls down, it will spoil.
That's not true.
But why?
Hey! Syntex was the first to introduce double-layer tanks in Ghana. Syntex again was the first to introduce white inner layers in Ghana. Syntex gives you the biggest warranty, 7 years. No matter your water needs, Syntex is the answer. Syntex tank. Are you strong? Are you tough?
Welcome back to PM Express. And PM Express is sponsored by Syntex Tank, Air Strong, Air Tough. It's also sponsored by Pepsodent, the perfect smile. And of course, my name is Aisha Barham. You've been following what has happened in Parliament tonight. The Speaker of Parliament has been giving his verdict on the back and forth on the letter that is coming from the presidency. I want us to listen to what he said in Parliament before he adjourned the House to go on recess. Then we can have this conversation.
The President's refusal to accept the transmission of the bill is, by all accounts, not supported by the constitutional and statutory provisions that guide our legislative process. The Constitution clearly delineates the steps to be followed once a bill has been passed by Parliament, mandating the transmission of the bill to the President for assent or rejection. Therefore, the refusal to even accept the bill for consideration falls outside the legal bounds established by our constitutional framework. It is incumbent upon the President to accept the bill and take the necessary action within the prescribed constitutional limits, whether that action is assent, refusal, or referral to the Council of State for advice or Parliament for reconsideration. It is instructive to note that the Executive has in the past proceeded with its actions, although there has been pending before the court injunction applications against the state. Secondly, there must be a steadfast rejection of any attempts to unduly fetter or hinder the work of Parliament. The Parliament of Ghana operates as a crucial part of our democracy, embodying the will and voice of the people. Parliament embodies the sovereign will and power of the people. Parliament embodies the might and majesty of the people. And as I keep on saying, the power of the people is stronger than the people in power. Any efforts to obstruct its work, Parliament's work, disrespects this fundamental institution and threatens the principles of governance by consent and representation. Thirdly, it is imperative to remain vigilant against certain dangerous precedents that could potentially undermine the foundation of our democracy.
That was Speaker of Parliament Alban Bagbin, who was given his verdict on the president's letter. In fact, the letter that came from the president warning the clerk to Parliament not to make any attempt to submit that letter to the presidency for the president's assent, because there are two applications in the Supreme Court. Let me start with you, Reverend Father Jay. When this bill was passed, you expressed satisfaction and you said you were optimistic the president will assent to the bill. What's your appreciation of this new development between the presidency and Parliament? Hello, Reverend Father.
Yes, please. Thank you and good evening. Good evening.
Good evening to you, Reverend Father.
How are you?
I'm doing well, Reverend Father. Go ahead.
Yes.
So I was asking your appreciation of what has happened. I mean, at least when the bill was passed, I spoke with you on the same platform and you expressed how satisfied you were with the bill. And you said that you were optimistic the president will assent to the bill. Now we're hearing this, I mean, a banter between the presidency and parliament. How does all of this come across to you?
Yeah, thank you. It is a bit unfortunate that this is happening. In fact, it was never foreseen that this occurrence would take place. But as a young democracy, we are growing. We are growing, and such are some of the experiences, the impediments that we encounter. It makes us grow in our law, makes us grow in our democracy. But we are not happy. I'm not happy what is happening, especially the two institutions, the two arms of government, legislature and executive. I mean, having this to and fro, this kind of conversation, it is not the best for us. But I'm still optimistic that in the long run, the bill will be assented to by the president. I think the president needs to reflect on his decision. And we also, as religious bodies, need to have a conversation with the president. But the way things are going, it is not the best. It is not the best. Because certain things are happening, actually. I mean, with the letter being written. You see, the Constitution is the supreme law of Ghana. And any law that is inconsistent with any provision of the Constitution, for the sake of its inconsistency, it is void. You see, so how can you write a letter saying Parliament should not even transmit the bill to the presidency? I mean, you see, the law must be followed. Constituency, the Constitution must be seen as the supreme law of the mother law of Ghana. The way things are going, it is not the best. And for example, I am not happy. And I think the Bishops' Conference are not happy. You must follow the law that the president swore to uphold. The president swore to uphold the Constitution, to uphold the Constitution, and you must go by that.
Right. So let's listen to the minority on this one. The minority leader, Dr. Atoforsen, has been also addressing the press on this, expressing how unhappy they are. In the studio, I have the Deputy Majority Whip, Habib Idris, who is with me here. I also have on Zoom Professor Kofi Abuchi, but I want us to listen to the minority on this one.
The Constitution of Ghana spells out in plain language when the President of the Republic of Ghana must do when Parliament passes a bill and present to His Excellency the President. The President must assent to the bill or must refuse to assent to the bill when it is presented to him as the President of the Republic. These are the only options, and in this case, there is no middle ground at all per the constitutional imperative. Ladies and gentlemen, let me also say that in the instance case of the Human Sexual Rights and Family Values Bill 2024, President Akufo-Addo has taken a strange and alien position, which is unknown to the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana. Given that Parliament has been injuncted in a matter of the President's nominee for the position of ministers and deputy ministers, it is obvious that this Honorable House is also unable and cannot approve those ministerial nominees His Excellency the President has also presented to Parliament. A call for Parliament to unite against the autocratic tendencies of our President and this government. We in the NDC minority is ready to protect the sanctity of the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana. And we stand with the Speaker of Parliament in this. Let the President of Ghana and his government be aware that where this country is going is strange under his watch. Yes. And the NDC minority will not countenance it. But I want to urge that it is obvious that His Excellency the President has breached the Constitution, and we will advise ourselves. In the coming days, don't be surprised that we will begin impeachment proceedings against the President. Thank you very much.
That's Majority Leader Dr. Kasiela Tofo saying, Habib Idris is here with me. Your leader, Afenyo Marking, has been very unhappy about what has happened. He said that the Speaker made the ruling and adjourned sitting without consultation with the majority side. I mean, what's really your difficulty in understanding what the Speaker has done?
Yes, good evening. And in the first place, the minority leader assertion of what actually happened in Parliament is completely misleading and rather unfortunate. And I've been in leadership. This is my 4th year in leadership as a deputy whip. And this is not the way we always adjourn the House in a day, anytime a session or a meeting of Parliament is coming to an end. But today what happened is rather unfortunate because the Speaker was away. He arrived this afternoon around 12 o'clock that he arrived in the country. And then we had suspended sitting so that he could get ready and come. But when he came or he took over the chair, he read the statement. And after reading the statement, then he adjourned the House. That is so, it's very surprising and uncalled for. If you ask media houses, and normally any day we are going to adjourn, the procedure is always that when the Speaker presides, he acts as on the side of the government because the majority leader is the leader of government business. Any business that is going to happen in the House is emanated from the majority side. So the Speaker is like a referee who sits there. So if definitely you are supposed to confide in the leadership of the majority to ask them if we have any business, then we'll be able to tell you whether we have business or not. And normally that when we are adjourning CNDA, both majority leader and the minority leader will be allowed to give their closing statement before the Speaker give his own closing statement and adjourn the House CNDA. But what happened today was rather unfortunate, and I think that it is a calculated attempt to frustrate government business. It is a calculated attempt to frustrate the government. It is a calculated attempt to use Parliament as a tool of denying essentially the good people of Ghana what they deserve. Because today, even before the Speaker came, we had engagement with the minority leadership. This morning, I was there as at 6, 7 a.m. We had meeting, myself, the majority leader, the majority chief whip, the minority leader, the minority chief whip, and the deputy minority leader. Then we said, today we are adjourning CNDA. What businesses are there from the majority side? So we told them the kind of businesses that we had. That has to do with, we were to do a motion on the health insurance approved formula. We told them that we were going to do the IDA loan, about 150 million for budget support, to be able to show our forests and to make sure that the city doesn't misbehave, especially with regards to what is happening now. And we also told them that we are going to look at the ministerial approvement and other things. So we judge certain things, we agree from there. We started the meeting in the minority leader office, and then we moved to the majority leader office for us to be able to affirm things. Then we came in, we started the whole thing going on, and then in the middle of the whole thing, it's been disrupted by the...
Were you able to reach any conclusion after the back and forth?
Yes, we made headway, and we were able to agree to certain things, of which some of the things that we agree we were able to do. Because in the meeting, we agreed that the health insurance supposed to bring some figures, and then they should bring it. If they bring it, we should be able to move their motion and pass it. And then they had concern with the IDA loan. If the finance committee meet and bring a report, generate a report, we should be able to pass it. So all that was done. And then with regards to the tax waivers we were going to talk about, because investors are now trying to run out of the country as a result of the fact that we are frustrating them in terms of giving them some tax holidays or tax waivers. So we agree the number of them that we're supposed to do. And they also told us that, okay, we will be able to do this or that. And we started with that roadmap, because when we started, We were able to, pass the health insurance motion without any problem. We came to look at Road Safety Act and other things, and we did that. Then we suspended sitting to wait for the speaker to come, only for us not to be given the opportunity, the majority leader, who is the leader of government business, to be able to give the business that he still have before we will be able to adjourn Sinidie. And that has to do with the IDA loan. That has to do with the approval of the ministers. And mind you, even though we haven't gotten into that issue, people are trying to tie in the approval of the ministers to that of the LBGT thing. It's completely different scenario. In fact, people, when I have a copy of Dafiamapo rates, it is completely misleading and rather unfortunate, because the kind of words that he used in there was never addressed to Parliament. Because if you look at Dafiamapo rates, if you come to look at declaration number 4 and 5, he said that number 5, that a declaration that upon a true and proper interpretation of Article 78(1) and 81(a) of the 1992, a minister of state and a deputy minister of state whose appointment were revoked on the 14th of February 2024 cannot be reappointed. There was nothing like that of revocation of any appointment on the official letter the presidency transmitted to Parliament. There's nothing like that. I have a true copy of what was sent to Parliament. Whatever you see in the media that this person appointment was revoked, this person appointment was revoked and reassigned and here right now, that is not the official communication from the presidency to Parliament. So this one is just a calculated attempt to frustrate government and to frustrate the good people of Ghana what they are due. Because some of these things that we're supposed to do today would be able to help us bring potable water to the good people of various constituencies that don't have potable water, to be able to make sure that Ghana become clean, especially with regards to sanitation, and to be able to help us, especially that you see, I think yesterday somebody was telling me that a dollar to the cities was around 13 point something percent. So if we were able to approve this, it would have been able to calm down things and let us move ahead.
So the declarations you talk about, I think that's for the court to determine. But you and I know that what has breeded all of this is the president's letter to, that's what has triggered all of this. What's the majority's stance on this? Because it was a unanimous decision for the bill to be passed, even though Afenyomakin had its own issues, but that was ironed out, and then the House unanimously passed the bill. Now we've reached this stage. What's the majority's stance on this?
So you see, even the president's stand, people are misinterpreting the present idea of saying or present assertion of the fact that there is a injunction pending before the court. For that matter, I cannot proceed. The president is on record in a church to have said that he is against anything that has to do with those things. And the majority leader, Afenyomakin, when he was actually when we were doing the bill, the concerns he was raising typically was not saying that he is against the bill. Typically, he was saying that if you are bringing custodian sentencing on people who even advocate or relate or discuss or publish, if you like it, must face a jail time of 3 to 5 years. So he was saying that people reform. And if you are actually saying that because I am talking something or discussing something that has to do with LBGT, and for that matter, I should go to jail, will that let the person stop? But people have forgotten to realize the fact that, and it will interest you to know, if you ask prison officers, the number one community of places that they practice gay is the prisons. That is where it is. If you ask prison officers, and they are bold to tell you the kind of things that go into the prison. So the point is that the question is that if you are punishing somebody for that and you throw that person to prison, that's reform the person. So that was the assertion of Honorable Afenyomakin. That is off the table. So what the president was simply saying is that, yes, you have passed the bill, but I have been injuncted not to receive it. You, Parliament, have been injuncted not to transmit it to me. So whatsoever you are giving to me, cannot. For instance, if I'm a member of parliament and in the constitution that I cannot be served with a writ on my way from parliament. So if I am on my way to parliament and you want to serve me something, I tell you that, oh, hey, you cannot serve me because I have a constitutional, there's a constitutional provisions that actually protects me, or I enjoy this immunity as a member of parliament. I have an error, or it doesn't mean that what actually is in whatever you are going to serve me, I am guilty of it. But I'm just stating the position. So procedurally, what happened with regards to today an adjournment, and then we are adjourning CNDA and other things, was rather unfortunate. And I think that the president, as we all know, is a lawyer of good standing. And every law student will definitely read something about the president and kind of the
what the executive secretary wrote was to warn and to warn the clerk of parliament to desist from submitting the letter. What does the constitution say?
No, he didn't. He did not.
I have seen.
That was not a warning.
I have seen the letter. It said that the clerk must desist. That's a warning. No. Aside that, okay, if you want to say those are semantics, what does the law say? Because there's been Article 106, which your colleague parliamentarians and lawyers are quoting for you. Article 106 states clearly that when Parliament passes a bill into law, the law will now be submitted to the President, who will have 7 days to assent to the bill. If he doesn't want to assent to the bill, he must have reasons for not doing that. He has 14 days to actually submit to Parliament with a note recommending and explaining why he cannot assent to the bill.
That is not exactly the case. Have you been able to read Article 90? If you read Article 91, that is not the only option to the president. Because if you read Article 91, the president even still have the right within the Constitution to refer the matter to Council of State. They can bring the bill to him, and the president will say that, okay, I have received your bill, but I have referred it to the Council of State. For them to, if they also have an amendment, they also have an advice or something, they will also do that within the same Constitution in Article 90. Okay. And also, the same Constitution that they are saying will also give the president the right. I think in 106 or 108 of the Constitution, that will also state that if whatsoever you are a bill that is emanating from Parliament that will put financial burden on the state must come from the Attorney General or the Executive. And you cannot be talking about jailing people where you think that there won't be financial burden.
There is nowhere in the Constitution where there is a provision that gives the Executive Secretary the right to stop the clerk to Parliament to actually send a bill that has been passed into law to the president. But
simply
can what there is... Can you point me to a law that gives him that authority?
No. What I can point to you is that the president or the executive secretary of the president also have the right to point to you that, look, hey, I have been injected. So stop bringing it to me because I have been injected. So what is wrong with that? Because if you read the letter clearly, let me see if I can get a copy of it. And if you read it clearly, the wording was more or less just to tell us that, oh, the president has been injuncted. So whatsoever you are sending, you should be mindful of the fact that, oh, yes, the president has been injuncted. So that is my understanding of the letter. I think I have a copy here. They said transmission of human sexual right and family value. They said it has come to the attention of the office of the president and other senior officials of the presidency were at Peduasi for a cabinet retreat on the 14th of March. Your attempt to submit the human rights and family value bill to Jubilee House for the president to signify his assent or otherwise of the bill. The office is aware of two. He's drawing the attention that, oh, I am aware that you have made attempts to serve us or to bring the bill. But we are saying that the office is aware of two pending applications for an order of interlocutory injunction, both filed 7th March 2024 at the Supreme Court. So that is 1 week after they said they made this attempt. So he was simply saying that, look, I am aware you are coming to serve me or to bring me this letter, but I am drawing your attention to the fact that I have been, or I'm aware there are two injunctions going on in court. So please, don't bring these issues to me again because I have been injuncted. As simple as that.
I have Article 90 here, and I'm going to read Article 91
Yes.
too. For the sake of our viewers. But let me bring in Professor Kofi Abuchi. I'm grateful for your time this evening. I just want you to help us clear the confusion here. Since the Constitution seems to be silent on whether the clerk to Parliament can be stopped from transmitting a bill that has been passed into law to the President for assent or not. Article 106 has been in contention here. Can you please help us understand what really is the letter and spirit of Article 106?
Well, first of all, to understand that, one needs to understand things broadly speaking. So broadly speaking, no one can direct Parliament on how it does its job. If you narrow that, it is only the courts who can direct Parliament in terms of its external compliance with the law. However, in the relationship between the organs of government, the principles or the theory that applies is what lawyers normally call the principles of separation of powers. Separation of powers implies that different organs are autonomous in their various spheres of influences and therefore their various provinces, but in their interaction, they are kept together by a concept called checks and balances where they check each other. So if you apply that in this context, the question is whether the executive can direct Parliament. And the answer obviously would be no. The executive cannot direct Parliament in the conduct of its legislative business. However, the checks and balances implies that sometimes cooperation happens between the various organs. Perhaps it is in that context at best that one can say that the executive may want to, as it were, nudge Parliament in a particular direction, and hopes that Parliament takes the bait. And if Parliament doesn't take the bait, then the executive can assert itself. It is a constitutional truism and a political truism that where the cooperation between the organs of government fails, each asserts its own authority, and in the process, there's a collapse of the machinery of government. The expectation of Article 106 is that when Parliament passes a bill, the executive may assent to the bill or may refuse to assent to the bill with an explanation of the reason for the refusal. And then in the back and forth between them, ultimately Parliament reigns. In other words, where Parliament sends a bill to the executive and the executive refuses to assent to it, and there's a back and forth between them, under the Constitution, where Parliament refuses to change anything in the bill for the third time, Parliament can pass the bill without the executive. Now, if you look at that from that angle alone, it tells you that the executive's participation in lawmaking is rather administrative. Some may even say perfunctory. Perfunctory or administrative in the sense that it is not that substantive. It can't defeat the legislative authority of Parliament. What it can do is to signify to Parliament that as the implementers of the law, if we have concerns, those concerns should be looked at. However, it doesn't defeat it. And so if Parliament, upon the third consideration, still decides that the executive's position is untenable, Parliament can proceed to pass the law without the participation of the executive. But it is a collaborative process, and the expectation is that they will not overrule each other and that they will collaborate or cooperate. And so at best, it is an administrative one. The passage itself begins and ends with Parliament, but then the assenting, which is the administrative component of it, is left to the President so that there is an executive participation in the process. So if you're asking for the broad statement of the principles, that's the intendment of Article 106.
There's been concerns about why the Attorney General must jump the gun to actually go advising the President not to assent the bill, even before the bill gets to the President. And I ask, is it not within the limit of his duties within Article 88?
I'm sorry, you have to take that again.
So the Attorney General in that letter, Nana Santebedieto, who signed the letter, says the Attorney General has already advised the President not to assent to the bill whilst there are injunctions in the court against the bill. And so he says that he should only assent it after the issues have been dealt with the Supreme Court. And before I even get to the injunction and whether that has any implication on the president's assenting to any bill into law, I want to find out if the Attorney General's attempts to advise the president is not within his remit, as provided by Article 88.
Well, absolutely within his remit. The Attorney General is the chief legal advisor to government. So the Attorney General's job is to advise the government on the constitutional implications of various actions. It's important for us to remember, at least in this context, that the president can't be impeached if it is established that he has acted in a manner that violates the Constitution. So it is utterly imperative for the Attorney General to advise the president on the constitutional implications of key decisions the president wishes to take, because those may have constitutional ramifications, especially as in this context, there is an issue of a potential court order or an injunctive relief being sought, which is pending in the meantime, that has consequences in law, and people understand this. So in terms of the Attorney General's advice to the president, obviously that falls within the remit.
That's where I bring in these applications at the Supreme Court. What has it got to do, or what has it not got to do with the president assenting the bill into law?
Again, if I understand the interplay of things, it appears that as we all know, there's an injunction pending in court against the bill. So if I understand the context of the Attorney General's advice, obviously he's advising the president that because there is an injunction pending against the bill, and because in law, the consequence of the pendency of an injunctive relief is that the person against whom the injunctive relief is sought is supposed to refrain from undertaking actions that may have the effect of undermining the outcome of the application when eventually granted. So if I understand the context of his advice, obviously he's asking the president not to go ahead to sign the bill, since one of the reliefs that is sought is that the president should not sign the bill. And so if he does sign and the relief is granted in the end, he may have violated the application for injunction, which is pending against him. Again, I haven't seen the advice.
That's what I want you to clarify for us. What is the procedure? Has it got anything to do with Article 106, that when a court is when a case is at the Supreme Court seeking for interlocutory injunction to injunct the president and all of that, the president cannot go ahead to fulfill his mandate as provided by the Constitution?
Article 106 doesn't say anything about injunctions. I dare say that the Constitution doesn't appear to contemplate what is happening. And therefore, I would go ahead to even assert that this appears to be a major design flaw with the Constitution. It seems to expose major cracks in the structural framework of the Constitution. Now, first of all, the Constitution is designed on the principles of parity. So the three organs of government are equal. Nobody is above the other. But the courts have naturally enjoyed the power and authority of determining what the law is. And because the courts are given the authority to freeze things in time whenever there's a contestation over some particular matter before the determination of that matter, an injunction has always been used to freeze those things or those contested matters. Now, clearly we have a situation here in which an injunction is being used as an instrument of stultifying or blocking the performance of a constitutional duty by the president. And as I understand it, the minority has gone to court. The same is happening, in which case you have Parliament being stopped or stultified by way of an injunction from performing its functions. What may be happening here may be a decision before the courts to ask the bigger question on whether or not a constitutional actor can be stopped from performing a constitutional function by way of an injunction. Now, mind you, we've had this in the past. We've had the Electoral Commission, we've had other bodies injuncted from performing their functions. What I haven't come across in this case is the high-level executive, or rather high-level organs, which is the executive and the legislature, and who knows, the judiciary itself moving forward. So it's one that is novel, and I can say that the constitutional framework did not contemplate this, and it seems to expose a major flaw with the Constitution, because what we may have happening moving forward if a proper position or pathway out of this is not developed, is that whenever we do not want someone performing his function, the functions of his office, we may simply decide to resort to the power of an injunction. And the critical problem being the mere application itself, the mere pendency of the application itself is sufficient to stop that particular agent or agency from functioning or undertaking the particular exercise or enterprise involved until the determination of the application. And so if the application is not determined for 2 weeks or a month, we may have succeeded in stultifying a major constitutional duty which is incumbent on an organ of government. And some people will argue that that is untenable. So it really exposes a fundamental issue that is worth examining.
Interestingly, one of the issues that have come up and indeed has been raised by the minority in Parliament is the fact that when the majority wanted to pass the e-levy law to actually charge people with e-levy, there was an injunction. That law was passed on the 29th of March. On the 30th of March, the minority went to the Supreme Court to stop it, to get an injunction for it not to be assented by the president. But on the 31st of March, the president assented to that law. I mean, that bill to become law. How do you juxtapose this, or how do you explain this? Because people say that's a two-faced, a double standard.
After such decision by the president, the same minority said that what the president did was wrong, that since there was an issue pending before the court, the president shouldn't have signed. The president shouldn't have waited. So granted that it was the case. Now, the president decided to listen, and the president decided to go by the process and abide by the law and respect the rule of law. What is wrong with it? Because in the initial process, he was definitely named, he was bastardized, that there was a case in court and he's the president, he was undemocratic, he went ahead and do that. Now he decided to say, let's say he's doing the right thing. And the right thing is the fact that there are two impending cases that is to his attention. And if we look at the letter, the Attorney General had advised the president that he has been duly served. So it means that it is not like the president is not aware. But unlike the e-levy one, there was no communication whether the Attorney General or the president was duly served on that matter. So if it was the case that the president was not served on the e-levy issue and he went ahead to sign, but he came under serious public attack by the NDC that he didn't do the right thing. Now he is aware and he has been advised by his chief legal advisor that, look, Mr. President, there is an injunction and I have been duly served. Then he said, I am not going to act on this until those constitutional issues are clear of. And I don't know why people are trying so hard to be able to tie the e-levy issue to the ministerial appointment. It is completely different. Hansard will bear me out, and we can actually be able to call for the record to the Hansard of Parliament. When the ministerial referral was done, I was in the chamber. Honorable Roxanne Dafiamapo, he rise to draw the speaker's attention, and he was on 3 issues. His issue was not the ministers that were referred and to be vetted, but he was of the opinion that he thinks that the Minister for Interior, the Minister for Works and Housing, and the Minister for Roads should have also been added to the list so that they will come for vetting. Because, mind you, the Greater Accra Regional Minister was moved to become the Minister of Interior, the Information Minister, Kojo Opon Nkrumah, to be the Minister for Works and Housing, and the Minister for Works and Housing, Asensu Boachi, moved to be the Minister for Roads and Highways. That was exactly what Roxanne Dafiamapo said in the chamber. He said, this is not the first time reshuffles have been done in this country. And the reshuffle that has been done in this country, they always move them, they don't come back for vetting. But when he is crafting and people are making the comments, and like I told you earlier on, saying that the president revoked some appointments and then the president reassigned people and saying that because others were revoked, then that means that they should appear before Parliament. I have a copy of the letter, exactly how the president addressed it to Parliament. And there is nowhere the president said that some people or some of the ministers designate that he has appointed, they should actually, they were revoked. And look, it was in part A. I didn't read the whole thing. I was just trying to say that the president just addressed it to the speaker. That's the official document that came to parliament, not the one on social media. The president said that following the reorganization of government, I am writing to seek parliamentary approval for the following appointment into the executive in accordance with Article 78, 79, and 256 of the Constitution. And he do A, Ministers of State. Then it have the health minister up to that. Then B, Deputy Ministers of State. Then he mentioned all the Deputy Ministers of State. And then there was another column, he said, reassign ministers.
That's why I'm saying that.
So there was nowhere, but if you look at the
fine details that the court will deal with.
Exactly.
At least this is before the Supreme Court. So they will deal with it and come out with their judgment. But I'm going back to the fact that the president, you say the president has learned his lessons
no, the point is that
after assenting to the e-levy bill into law.
If it is not a cheap political point they want to square, can you just be able to explain to me how do you tie that the president have appointed ministers and did the right thing under Article 78, 79, 256 and referred them to and seek the speaker to refer them to the appointment committee of parliament. They have appeared before the appointment committee of parliament. They were vetted, scrutinized, questions were asked, a report has been generated. And then tell me, I don't get the mix-up.
So my question is that...
This is simply to tell you that the NDC attempts to frustrate what the Ghanaian people would benefit. The NDC attempt to frustrate the work of this government. The NDC attempt to score cheap political points and to frustrate the business of the house.
So your explanation is that the president has learned his lessons, and that's why he's learned his lessons from the e-levy situation, and that's why he wants to do the right thing. Then if that's the case, then the speaker is also doing the right thing by saying that we need to wait for the court to deal with this matter before we can continue.
But you see, the point is that if the president has been injuncted on the case of the LBGT, in this case of the ministers, it doesn't add up. How do you... The point is that Roxanne Dafiamopo is seeking the court to actually say that, okay, the person who has been vetted, look at the dates he filed the writ. The vetting
it was on 19th March.
The vetting and the report has been laid. 19th March means yesterday.
Yesterday.
Good. Yesterday, we had laid the report of the appointment committee. As at yesterday, the report of the committee and the decision of the appointment committee was done, and it was signed by the chairman of the committee. The minister's one was laid. The report was generated on a majority decision. Later on, they meet, they discuss, and it came with a consensus decision. That of the deputy ministers, the report has been done. The chairman of the committee signed. Everything was done. So if you are now going to court to tell them that they should put an injunction on the vetting, of which you have knowledge that the vetting has been concluded, because the vetting was done in broad daylight. It was in television. People saw that those ministers and deputy ministers designated were vetted. The report was laid. He was in the chamber when the report was laid. So this is a pure mischief. This is a pure political propaganda. This is a pure political sabotage to the government. Nothing more, nothing less.
Well, your majority leader has been talking about how this will affect government business. I'll come back to that, but also remember that PM Express is being made possible by Syntex Tank. No matter your water needs, Syntex Tank has it all. Syntex Tank is first to introduce double-layer tank, and now you can have as many layers as you want. Syntex Tank is first to introduce white inner layer tanks in Ghana. We now introduce to you the customer specs order, which lets you order any color and size of preference. So whatever your water consumption, size of project or demand, choose Syntex Tank. We have agents nationwide. You can call Syntex Tank on 0244-335-168 or shop online at syntexgh.com. Pepsodent Cavity Fighter Toothpaste. Pepsodent Cavity Fighter is fortified with profluoride and microcalcium ingredients, sealing tiny and invisible holes in your teeth. It prevents cavities, keeps your teeth strong and mouth healthy. Don't just use toothpaste that brushes your teeth. Use Pepsodent that protects your teeth. Pepsodent is recommended by the Ghana Dental Association. Pepsodent gives you the opportunity to talk to a dentist for free. Call toll-free 0800-161-000 to talk to a dentist for free. You can get Pepsodent at any shop near you. Pepsodent, every smile matters. I'll take a break on PM Express. When I return, we'll be finding out. You heard Professor Abuchi, who says that there's a lacuna in the Constitution because it did not envisage this kind of situation. How then do we cross this road? We'll be getting into that. And then I'll also be finding out what will this mean, or what are the implications of Parliament going on recess without finishing government business. What does it mean for government business? Stay with me. I'm coming right back.
Ahani nyinaa want our children to use the internet to learn. Na wenyina be farmers, doctors, lawyers, fishers, traders in a more keka ho. Ahani nyinaa ye pede yenye friends and loved ones who bonkomu ofondo without any interruptions.
Awo, yes, awo. A stable service netuma send them mobile money na come our parents to fie.
JT Trot Room opedosha Chelsea vs Man City game without missing a moment.
Era mana, onoze nenywa jido obo receive mobile money payments every ni customers ho. Pay delay so. Eboze, love talks in quoting or po. Obotuma kasa till he sleeps on the phone.
Eyimunyina is made possible because of the red, white, and grey telecommunication towers are our hen communities munti. Them telecommunication towers are safe or ho to the benefit of Obiara our community nimo. We are here, the Yebobwa. In case of any emergency biara, and now you see a theft going on, for the Ghana Police Service on 191 and now 18555. Ebotunsa for 0209 222220 and 0242 435629 and now 30 for assistance. So, welcome the telecommunication towers into the approved locations in your neighborhoods so that you can keep connecting to the people and things you love. Message Ghana Institution of Engineering and the Radiation Protection Institute and a YN-DOS.
On the 10th of November last year, His Royal Majesty the King Osei II Tumfo launched the Hill Komfanoche project. It's a drive to raise funds for the rehabilitation or renovation of the almost 70-year-old Komfanoche Teaching Hospital, which was named after the great priest of the Ashanti Kingdom, Komfanoche. Incidentally, when Komfanoche first put the sword that was supposed to be a unifying factor of all the Ashanti states on the ground, it was Otumfuo Osei II who was the king of Ashanti then. And so, as part of the 25th anniversary celebration, when the king decided that the time had come for him to lead that drive, for people from far and near to contribute to the renovation of the almost 70-year facility, which has never seen any renovation since it was built in 1955. It was welcoming and refreshing, and it's marked of leadership that every young man or woman would aspire to. Now, like I said, every day, on the average, we receive about 1,000 patients who are coming from at least 12 out of the 16 regions in Ghana. So Komfanoche serves as a referral facility for 12 out of 16 regions in Ghana. Ordinarily, retooling of a hospital like Komfanoche would be seen as the responsibility of government. It is indeed true, but in many developed democracies, like the United States, Canada, UK, Germany, I'm sure many of us who have lived there at one point or another in our lives are aware that these things are done. Private individuals, philanthropists, and so on give, non-governmental organizations give towards the renovation, the building of new hospitals, and so on and so forth. And so the king, being a golfer himself, the golfers decided that it was one of the ways by which they could contribute to the king's vision. And so today what has happened is that the golfers are launching a competition of a sort that would see to them contributing generously to the king's drive. I have absolutely no doubt that the golfers have done, their names will be written in gold. Posterity will judge them favorably. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Welcome back to PM Express. We're still digesting what has happened in Parliament today. Speaker closing Parliament without the business of the House being done with, and the majority has been very angry with this decision. He says that they need to wait for the injunction on the President's ministerial appointees before that can be done. Let me ask you, now Parliament has adjourned, and you say that there are a lot of unfinished business. So what next for the majority?
Yes, at the moment it happened today, like I told you, unheard of, never done. There's no precedent to that. So after today, I think the majority caucus or the majority leadership, we will sit, because normally the government business comes from us, and we'll be able to engage the speaker. And after we engage, then we'll see where we are going to go.
Do you have intentions to recall Parliament? I mean, to write to the Speaker that you want to recall Parliament?
It's within our rights, but at the moment we haven't gotten to make such a firm decision that we actually want to call back Parliament. But it is part of the options that we can be able to do. But what is necessary at the moment is for us to be able to engage and draw and build consensus around the whole thing, so that we'll be able, at the end of the day, we'll be able to arrive at a decision that will benefit the state. But what is actually unfortunate is that we, by this singular act, is trying to frustrate the government and even to leave other government organizations without ministers. For instance, if you come to health, both the minister and the two deputy ministers are all designated. They needed to be approved. So it means that apart from the fact that there is a caretaker minister on it, then the minister designated and the two deputies are not there. But if we had approved the ministers, these are very young ministers. These are ministers who are very serious, who were supposed to come and help the president to turn things around in this year. But this calculated attempt, the minority know very well that if we are able to pass this crop of ministers, a lot of positive things is going to happen in the economy. They know that a lot of things will happen. The other businesses that we have, that has to do with the IDA loan that I talked about, the 150 million. When it came, it was going to help in the forest in terms of the dollar against the cedi. It would have helped drastically. And apart from that, it was going to help provide potable drinking water, and sanitation issues are supposed to be in there. Then we also were going to look at the exemptions in terms of the businesses, because some of the companies that are working in Ghana need to be supported in a way to continue to exist, because some investors will want to move to other countries that are giving them equal opportunities. So if we fail to do that, we are putting them in a very bad position. And for that matter, the minority, well, when you see the speaker, after he said that the House was adjourned sine die, you could see the jubilation coming from the minority side, our colleagues in the NDC. So they were just jubilating that, yes, we have frustrated the government business. Yes, we have. So that will not help Ghana. That is undemocratic. That is not patriotism. That is simply pure sabotage to the economic development of this country.
Professor Bochi, we all know the implications of a clash between the executive and the legislature. You have made it clear that there's actually a lacuna in the Constitution because the framers did not envisage this situation. How do we then cross this hurdle? Do we sit and cross our fingers and just wait for things to go the way it's going, or there's a way out?
The structure of the Constitution is based on the principles of checks and balances. So I think at this stage, it's important for cool heads to prevail. It is important for the principles of checks and balances to be activated. And a key aspect of the principles of checks and balances, as enunciated in the Constitution, is the idea of collaboration. So I do expect that the key heads of institutions, i.e., the Speaker of Parliament, and His Excellency the President of the Republic, I do expect that there should be some back-channel conversations already ongoing. It is important that the two speak and the two are ad idem or on the same page about this. Let's be clear. The exercise is not one of a confrontation between Parliament and the executive. Parliament is performing its legitimate business of lawmaking. The executive is asserting its legitimate influence of deciding whether or not to sign the bill. We may have issues with the letter, people may put interpretations, but anyone is entitled to, as it were, proper ideas or proper suggestions or give out opinions on particular things. So I would want to treat the letter purely as an opinion written from the office of the president to Parliament. Parliament can decide to proceed by sending the law. It is up to the executive to decide not to sign the law because of its interpretation. Now, my understanding is that the letter is probably trying to interpret the law, that in the circumstances of the pendency of the injunction, if the bill is brought to the office of the president, this is going to be the reaction. But the most important thing is all the organs are performing their respective legitimate functions and duties. I think we are at the point where perhaps the two organs of government should speak at the highest level, should engage and collaborate at the highest level and see how we can have an exit point. Because none of these two organs wants to lose face. I think certainly not Parliament, because it is the lawmaking body and because in the scheme of things under the Constitution, it is structured as the oversight body and as the one that supervises everyone, so to speak. Certainly also not the executive, because the executive is seeing this as its province to decide whether or not to sign. But the tug of war is not going to end well. In the end, government business is going to suffer, as we have already seen it play out from the beginning. And in the end, we may have a stultification of the entire process if you're not careful. We'll have things frozen because of injunctions and counter-injunctions, and anyone can go to court. The problem about the character of injunctions and the principles of injunctions under Ghanaian law is that anybody at all can freeze anything by merely bringing an application to court. So whether or not the application is frivolous, whether or not the application is meritorious, before the court ever gets to hear it, the period within which the injunction has been pending before court is supposed to be a frozen moment. That is a problematic thing, especially in the context of constitutional law, because constitutional rights and constitutional mandates and obligations of government, and government in a broad sense, the various organs of government, constitutional mandates of these organs of government should not ordinarily be stultified by an individual merely activating the court process through an injunction. Unfortunately, because the Constitution doesn't address this, the general principles of injunction applies. And so once someone goes to court and caps the writ of summons with a request for an injunction with specific reliefs, whoever is implicated by the principles of law is supposed to restrain himself until the determination of the application.
This is something that we'll be looking in the days going forward. We'll be looking at how this unfolds. Habib Idris has just indicated that they will speak with the Speaker and find ways of ensuring that government business goes on after he's adjourned Parliament. He said they have the power to recall Parliament. We'll see how this unfolds, and we'll also be monitoring the cases at the Supreme Court for interpretation by the Supreme Court. Grateful, Professor Kofi Abochi, for joining us. I'm grateful, Reverend Father Clement J, for also joining us. Thank you so much, Habib Idris, for passing through the studio. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Do enjoy the rest of our programs.
Abubakar, who also...
Today, we take an important step on that journey. From today onwards, no child will ever be denied senior high school education simply because his or her family is unable to afford it.
The secession is anything to go by, then Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Baumia places it succinctly under this cliche.
So far, so good. The free SHS has seen the enrollment of hundreds of thousands of people, boys and girls, who would otherwise not have been able to attain senior high school education.
This claim is right to some extent. This is because the policy, according to the government, has produced the best WASI result in the last 8 years. Aside from this, it has achieved the very goal the Akufo-Addo administration set out for itself when they proposed the policy. According to the Ministry of Education, the 2017-2018 academic year saw the highest enrollment in the country's history, with 470,000 students gaining access to secondary education. Since the program was rolled out in 2017, over 2.5 million students have benefited from the program. This 2023-2024 academic year recorded the highest enrollment yet, with 500,000 students placed under the program.
And in 2019, I wrote my BEC and I passed. I was admitted in Maoli School, which was last year. I want to thank the government. I know it's not only me that is going through this, and because of the free SHS, I've come back to school.
Pae Libra. Me Aquarano 3. Bakuko school Makuset. Bakuko school Akru. Bakuko Ajina. Sesiano, sa almost me to school visa. Minya. One say Nipa Baku ye 1,000 Ghana formally. Say almost me to Saskano meet me ato acha. Aquarano in a cafe. Libra no yes Gano dosu. Education.
It is without doubt that the free SHS policy has made it possible for children whose parents could not have afforded secondary education to have the opportunity to continue their education. But a key component of the policy that cannot be overlooked in ensuring that children enjoy the implementation of the program is feeding. A grim reality that many are hesitant to speak about.
They'll give you bread, don't give you margarine and sugar to do the bread. Sometimes they'll give you margarine and sugar. They don't give you the flour. Sometimes they'll give you garri, don't give you beans. They'll give you beans, they don't give you the garri. So you want to wonder, how are you going to combine? They'll give you tin tomatoes, they will not give you. You'll get mackerel, you will not get tin tomatoes. You'll get sardine, you won't get mackerel.
It is for this reason I go undercover in the country's senior high schools in the Western, Greater Accra, Northern, Oti, and Central regions to investigate the irregular supply of food items by the government and the dire consequences faced by thousands of students. My name is Kweti Nati.
Students. So a school that is not having even 900 students is supposed to have 3 bags a day to feed 900 students of rice. If it is the 5 days, that is 15 bags per week. Go and check the rice that they are giving to us.
When the free SHS policy began, food supply to schools was in abundance. The situation is no longer the case. Irregularities in food supply are an open secret, discussed in WhatsApp groups among senior high school heads and free SHS coordinators. My infiltration into these platforms has revealed desperate messages from schools across the central region, including Infansipim School, Adisadel College, in Saba Presbyterian SHS, Asin Manso SHS, and the Brahman SHS urgently requesting adequate food supplies. Here in the Central Region, the harsh reality comes to life. A dining hall prefect, Sambali, informs first-year students of the insufficient food supply. Their meals are reduced to simple, often nutritionally inadequate options. This situation is not unique to the Central Region, but is echoed across schools in other regions.
It's unfortunate that our food is not enough. As I have told you earlier, we have no food at the stores, and the master is in Accra now, fighting for food for our own benefit. So we are pleading with you to manage the little here, and we promise you very soon there will be enough food for us, so that we can all enjoy ourselves. Thank you.
Entire school communities are despondent. Worry is visibly written on the faces of hundreds of students, especially those first-year students who are experiencing life outside the comfort of their homes for the very first time. This dietary monotony was particularly challenging for Sam, a student I met at University Practice Senior High School, who described it as his toughest experience.
Which food has been the bad? This one, you just rejected it, you didn't after tasting the first one.
Gari and soup.
Gari and soup. Why? What was wrong with it?
It was small and it was not nice.
It was small and it was not nice. But did you complain? Have you guys been complaining? You have not been complaining.
Every night, Sam and his peers are haunted by this grim reality. These children go to bed burdened with thoughts about what they will eat when they wake up to a new day. It is no fault of theirs that the government that promised their parents free education is unable to provide enough food to feed their youthful appetites. This issue extends beyond the Central Region, as school authorities from several senior high schools in the Upper West Region have also shared with JoyNews.
What we experience generally across the country is that occasionally we come under a bit of a pressure. Occasionally you may have a shortage of this or that. In fact, the biggest problem we have is schools generally not having all the consignment of food that they need at a go. And what I mean is that you have one point in time, you have rice in large quantities. On the other hand, you do not have maize. You do not have, granules. You do not have all the other items. So the temptation and the only way out is to utilize the rice. So at the end of the day, you may have large quantities of rice and in no time you exhaust it. And other times you actually run into very critical situations where it is even out of the way. I remember just, my school is a double track school. Shortly before the Form 3s and the Form 2s went, we actually ran on food supply. It got to a time that if some consignment had not arrived within 2 days, we are virtually not be feeding the students.
Currently, there are feeding challenges. Honestly speaking, we don't have food. We don't have. Since we were open, we're giving food for 3 weeks. We exhausted it. Last week, we went back for 30 bags of rice. But these 30 bags, if I have all my population on campus, I take 20 bags a week. The second years and third years on campus, I take 15 bags a week. So it means that the 30 bags will do for only 2 weeks. The rest of the food items, gari, soya bean, maize, and a lot of them are not available.
The feeding, the old challenges. We say have the old challenges, but last week we were giving 35 bags of rice. At least they have also made some small payment for perishable that we can buy the perishable. But the challenge would be the buffer stock items. So when school reopened, we were giving some few items. We depended on that up to a point last week, which they brought in. They asked us, we went for some rice. We went for 35 bags of rice, so that's what we are managing on for now.
Many school heads are hard-pressed in their bid to feed the students properly. But the stark reality is, they can only offer the students what government supplies. Kwesi Kwarteng speaks for the Education Ministry. He disagrees there are food shortages within the schools.
In terms of food shortage occasioned by irregular supply of food from buffer stock, we've not had any formal complaint. Of course, unless, of course, we are able to get the list of those schools, quickly we intervene. I've always insisted that our duty as leadership is to always intervene when there are challenges. Of course, leadership is not there because to immune ourselves from challenges.
My visit to Triponi Senior High School in the Northeast region reveals students being served meals that barely meet nutritional standards.
But if you had an opportunity, which food would you have taken? Rice, yam, which food would you have taken?
Breakfast, we take Tom then the afternoon we take rice or beans.
The Tom Brown, were you given milk? No milk?
Yes.
In the afternoon, what did you take?
Sometimes they prepare tea without milk, without bread, and then in the afternoon, either today we take rice and beans.
Every day rice and beans? Wow. The whole of this time? Yes. It's either tea in the evening?
Yes, it's rice in the afternoon or beans in the afternoon.
Wow.
It's either today they will give us rice, tomorrow beans, tomorrow next rice, tomorrow next beans.
The students tell me their joy will know no bounds the day they will be served jollof rice with fish or chicken. But they know it is a pipe dream. Under the policy, residential students are supposed to benefit from 3 square meals, while non-residential ones get 1 hot meal. In some schools, the investigative team observed that between 8 to 15 students were assigned to a table to share a meal. The picture is no different at the Ahantaman Senior High School in the Western region. These first-year students who thronged the dining hall were expecting to be served a breakfast that was balanced in nutrition. But that isn't the case. What they had was porridge without milk and bread.
The challenge has been that my daughter is constantly complaining that the food they are fed with is not enough. I've taken the pains to also provide enough food like gari and others that she can eat from her chop box. But it turns out that the school parents of this school have come together to get support for the school. So we contribute some amount of money. We're supposed to contribute twice in a term. That's 500 cedis for the first half, and the other half we contribute another 500 cedis.
We tried to support, but because of government initiative, it's difficult. So for me, I sometimes, let me put in quotes, smuggled food to the school for my ward.
And another concern is their food. To be frank, they are not eating any better food at all. So every time she will call, that mommy, I don't have money. The food is not enough, and sometimes it's not even good. To be frank with you, this girl left home without stomach pain. But now she will call that mommy, my tummy. She has been admitted at the hospital. They did other tests, but she said the doctors are suspecting is ulcer. It is very bad. We are not saying they should not eat gari, but the gari is too much.
They are not fed properly. They are made to work like horses. Like, I don't know. In fact, I think this is the second prison yard. Even the prison, those in the prison, I don't think they go through what these girls are going through.
As for school, you cannot have it like you have it in your house. I cannot tell you. If I tell you that I'm happy with the quality of the food, as expected, no, I'll be telling lies. It's not up to standard, but as students, they will have to manage. Yes, they have to manage. Like I said, it's everything that adds up to the quality. If you do not have mackerel, in a point in time and you're supposed to have it, the quality of the food will not be right. If you do not have tinned tomatoes, and sometimes we run out of these things. There are times you do not have the tinned tomato, you may not have a mackerel, and the matrons will have to manage. So, of course, that speaks to the quality. I think it could have been better.
At the Achimota school, the students have been served fried rice and sauce. The food appeared to have less nutritional value. Some of the students complained about the quantity of what they've been served with.
It's all about the quantity, and then the jollof too quantity, very small. And then the amount of sauce they serve per table, they are sitting on the table. So the amount of sauce is, this is the pan of the sauce, and it's very small, very small. So if you distribute to them, some people don't even get these items.
I have named the student Kweku for anonymity. He rates the meals they received a mere 5 out of 10. Kweku recalls the beans and oil served in the dining hall as the most unpalatable meal he's ever had. The memory of its unpleasant odor still vividly lingers in his mind. At Accra Academy, students frequently receive meals like rice with stew. However, on occasions when they are served beans, it notably lacks accompaniment like ripe plantain. Similarly, when kenke is provided, it often comes without fish.
They give us rice with stew, and sometimes beans without plantain, and sometimes kenke. The kenke they give us stew or shito with no fish. But me, I'm this one, so I don't eat kenke. We go for food 3 times a day: breakfast, lunch, and supper. And we sit in groups 8 in one bench, and we share it.
Mr. Kwating again. He said it isn't procedural for a school to feed children with repetitive meals.
It will be very surprising to see that a school is being fed repetitively on a particular meal. That is not the norm. Even granted, without admitting that that is the challenge that maybe a school may face. First of all, I will see it as one isolated incident. But obviously, whether isolated or even is a general issue, our duty is to be able to go and resolve it. And quickly, we prompt the agency responsible for that. And then we make sure that whatever supplies that needs to go have to go.
Experts, including clinical psychologists and educational researchers, emphasize the importance of a balanced diet for students' physical and mental well-being. Unfortunately, the current food situation in schools falls short of these requirements. Clinical psychologist Dr. Nyako says a balanced diet is very important for the brain's development of students. According to him, a variety of food doesn't only nourish the brain, but enhances health.
We know that the best foods for brain development or for those who do mental work are fruits, vegetables, grains, nuts, seeds, and leaves. These are the components of food that should be given to our kids in the various schools. Because if we don't do that, and we tend to give them poor diet, it will give them poor blood. You give them poor diet, it will result in poor blood, and then poor brain output, because the blood is feeding the brain.
But these are foods that weren't found on any of the dining tables of the schools we visited. Back to the online platform I had infiltrated, I discovered numerous complaints from school heads about weevil-infested maize bags supplied despite assurances from the Free SHS coordinator that only a few bags were affected. My observations revealed several bags of maize being treated with neem tree leaves to ward off the pests. Given the critical food shortages, some school heads have conveyed to me their inability to discuss the contaminated maize as there's scarcely enough to feed the students.
Someone advised us that we can use the neem tree. So yesterday, we put it outside. The boys put it outside.
And these were given to be fed to the children?
Yes, free SHS. And so, they are there a lot. So I'm experimenting. So yesterday we spread it on the ground. We put the neem tree upon it. And we are seeing some reduction, and that's what. But is this the work of headmasters?
Kwesi Kwarteng speaks for the Education Ministry. He rejected claims of weevil-infested maize supplied by Free SHS Secretariat and blames the situation of isolated cases to poor storage.
But I think there was one instance in Western North and also Oti, where they said that after the supplies has been made, I think the supply was in excess of what the school ordinarily will need, particularly within the week or two, and they also have their own storage constraints. So what happens is that if there are excess and you are unable to store it well, there is a possibility that you may have this weevil infestation and what have you. But I think there were 18 bags of this food item in Uti, for instance, and based on the official response that we have from the supplier, they were recalled back and replaced. That is the only incident where there has been a formal complaint.
Guilford Esiama is a researcher with the Ghana Center for Democratic Development. He was part of a team that surveyed views from Ghanaians on the Free SHS policy. He believes for the Free SHS to make sound gains on the education front, the government must be open to suggestions from both policy and practice. He claims cracking down on dissenting views will not augur well for the sustainability of the program.
I think calls for review must be accepted. You have somebody coming from a policy, you have somebody coming from practice, So these heads of senior high schools have genuine concerns, and I think it is better for government to actually sit with them and negotiate, how to arrange and make sure that the feeding issues, are resolved. If you remember, issues about feeding, especially coming from these heads of senior high schools, has almost become a taboo, where people don't talk about it, because if you talk about it, you can't predict the consequences that you face.
The Ministry of Education embarked on a nationwide monitoring exercise of some selected senior high schools after JoyNews released a minute trailer of empty plates, the Free SHS promise. Though the spokesperson of the ministry, Kwesi Kwarteng, says there is adequate food at the school stores, these were the experiences students shared with us.
We would need more of the balancing of the food. There may be instances where they are not balanced foods, but then sometimes I think we would need, maybe when we are taking what we will need egg to each person. But then now it's no more, so we pray, we are hoping that they bring it back.
We had some brown with bread.
Does it always come with bread, your breakfast?
Nah, it's not always. Just sometimes, but not always. Yeah.
So how often does it come without bread?
Yeah, very often. Yeah. I think Fridays that we get bread.
Some parents have been livid after the Education Ministry released a statement to indicate that school heads and students are satisfied with the quality and quantity of food served in the various schools.
Frankly speaking, I have a ward in one of the secondary schools, and every week I have to send him close to 100 cedis to supplement the food he takes from the dining hall.
I have two kids, one in Presec, one in Wesley Girls. It's terrible. I literally have to send food to my son literally every weekend to survive. I was with my daughter this weekend. She saw me and just broke into tears. Daddy, I don't get food to eat. She had grown lean, and I felt it. I mean, a parent, you're at home, you cook food, you eat, knowing that your child is in school, doesn't get food to eat.
The Conference of Heads of Assisted Secondary Schools, CHAS, in the recent past made calls for the disbursement of food under the policy to be reviewed to streamline operations and eliminate challenges in food distribution. The Education Minister, Dr. Yawose Duchum, has rejected this call. He argues that placing such control in the hands of the school heads does not provide a solution to the problem. But former GIMPA rector, Professor Stephen Ade, believes operating the centralized system breeds corruption and questions whether it should be maintained.
The more you centralize things, as we do in Ghana by the politicians, the more corruption and inefficiencies you introduce. I don't see why somebody in Accra should tell a headmaster in Avrongo where to get the food and what. So they must have a good reason, and they must come and justify what the new system is better than the old.
Gilbert puts it succinctly. The free SHS policy has made giant strides in opening the doors for more students who ordinarily wouldn't have been able to afford secondary education. But it is equally important for the government to open up to suggestions rather than antagonizing critical voices.
I think it would be better for both the government and those who are actually managing schools to agree on the best way to handle, some of these issues. They certainly have genuine concerns over how the feeding, are being handled. And we heard, in the previous years how some schools went without food for weeks. And these are genuine concerns, and I think government should be able to sit with these heads of senior high schools and actually think of a proper way of managing feed.
As discussions between policy and practice continue, the urgent need for a well-balanced diet for thousands of students remains unresolved. These food supply irregularities in schools represent just one facet of the broader range of implementation hurdles faced by the free SHS policy.
I'll be entering this magnificent facility. This is the Jamadu Museum. It is yet to be completed, but when it is finally completed, it's going to accommodate the history, the sad history of slavery. Aside that, it will show artifacts of the liberation role of our local and international heroes. On the outskirts of the Himan Township, in the serene village of Jamadu, sits a carefully curated facility chronicling the powerful triumph of the independence movement of Ghana. The Jamadu Museum, located on a 10-acre land, comprises 9 interlinked domes accommodating a compartment for galleries, cultural exhibition collections, and artifacts that reflect the history of the Atlantic slave trade. The facility, under the care and management of Himan Hene Nana Apeu Wiafe Abebu, contains serene vegetation to exhibit featured artifacts, artworks, and interactive displays. It has spaces for statues and images of Asante kings and queen mothers, including the occupants of the Golden Stool, the Asante Hene, Otumfuo Osei Tutu II, Nana Nyako Kusi Amoa, the first Asante Hema, Otumfuo Opoku Ware II, and the brave warrior of the Asantes, Ya Asantewa of Ejoso.
Samuel Atafrimpong is the designer of the cultural artifacts and the caretaker of the museum.
But I tie Africa culture. So what I say, because
my intention behind this initiative is to teach our culture. Many people are ignorant and less appreciative of indigenous culture. Nana saw the need to provide an avenue for enlightenment.
We are currently heading to the Anyinasu River. The Anyinasu River is an auxiliary feature of the Jamadu Museum. What we understand is that this is an ancient river that contains a deity which provides the heartfelt request of the people who seek it. Ago! Okay.
It's not an ordinary river. It contains gods and protects the people.
The Jamadu Museum has an overwhelming package of Ashanti tradition. This particular place features a shrine. I mean, a set-up shrine which was done, decoration, everything was done by the gentleman behind me, Mr. Ates. It is supposed to give off the Ashanti traditional shrine houses that were there in the olden days.
The Kwabre Himan township is believed to have served as the transporting route for slaves during the transatlantic slave trade between the 1700s and 1800s in Ghana. It also reflects slavery conditions through the brilliantly crafted statues.
This museum provides a wide array of some of the activities that took place during the Atlantic slave trade. Just as you can see, here is a statue of a middle-aged man being put in chains on the neck and also chains on his legs. And you can see a depiction of how he was struggling and begging for his life.
Samuel Atafrimpong has a depiction of the untold narrative. When the creative arts are done, this will be a ship depicting how slaves are coerced and transported.
This particular creative structure represents a graveyard. What we have been told is that Kwabre Himan was a route for transportation of slaves. And these 13 graves that we see represent the 13 Europeans that were killed in a fight between slave masters and the people of Kwabre Himan.
The Jamadu Museum features chambers and created forest statues of African leaders who have contributed to the liberation of Ghana and Africa. The place honors statesmen like Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, Ghana's first president, Nelson Mandela of South Africa, Muammar Gaddafi of Libya, and Emperor Haile Selassie of Ethiopia.
At least 1,500 African Americans have moved to Ghana since 2019 after government's campaign of Year of Return. At the Jamadu Museum, a special place has been dedicated to diasporans who wish to reconnect with their ancestry in the afterlife. Just as you can see behind me, Reynard V. Hall has been buried here alongside one other here at Himan Ancestral Memorial Garden.